Hello, my name is Rebecca Sanchez, and I am an advisory council member with RAIN International. I am also an equity and inclusion manager with Multnomah County. I'm going to be providing a very brief introduction to our training entitled Beyond the Current Service Model, Serving Refugees and Migrant Populations in Your Community. Now, as we know, the need for refuge exists. There are currently over 70.8 million women, men, and children currently displaced around the world. Now, historically, the United States has admitted the highest number of refugees, and we can see this in our own communities. 1 in 10 Oregon residents is an immigrant. More than 1 in 5 Beaverton residents were born outside of the United States, and there are over 100 languages that are spoken throughout the city. This is something we're proud of. Unfortunately, there's been a very deep cut in admissions into the United States over the past 3-4 years. Now, if you'd like more information on this specific topic, I encourage you to look at the training module that RAIN has entitled Refugee Resettlement in Oregon, Changes and Impacts. It's 2017. Now, in this more extended training, we're going to delve deep into evaluating the current traditional service models that exist in our communities. In this section of the training, we're going to talk about how far too often the legal statuses of our newly arrived community members, such as refugee, asylum seeker, migrant, are too often used interchangeably. And as we know, not all of these populations have equal access and timeframes to services. We're also going to talk about the current model that depends heavily upon working with local resettlement agencies like Catholic Charities. Now, as we saw in the previous slide, there have been massive cuts and a decline in the amount of admissions into our country over the past few years. And that has affected local resettlement agencies, and that about 1/3 of them have been cut the last few years. Now, in our organizations, we have all been trying very hard to hire bicultural and bilingual staff. And we're also in the process of translating all of our documents and information. However, we're still in the process of that. Prior to my previous position, I was an ongoing case manager for aging and disabilities. And unfortunately, I was the only bicultural and bilingual Spanish speaker in my position. I far too often saw my clients come in confused and bewildered and needing assistance. They'd be mailed large stacks of documents in English that they needed to turn in and needed that assistance and did not know how to navigate any other forms of translation assistance. Additionally, when they would get documents in their own language, they were still confused, as so often translating information into a language needs further explanation when someone is very unfamiliar with how the systems work in a different culture. And so what is our responsibility when we're serving refugees, migrants, asylum seekers, or anyone coming new to our community? Well, one of the most important things we need to do is always invite those served to the table. We must make sure that our organizations are as diverse as those that we serve. We also need to make sure we educate ourselves and our staffs about the refugee experience. We need to make sure that we understand about trauma-informed care so that we can create services that are client-centered and that we can build the best trust possible. We have to make sure that our clients are provided with the best possible learning opportunities so they can learn to navigate within their own communities. We also need to incorporate technologies. We are blessed that there are creative thinkers constantly creating new technologies, and we need to make sure that we are aware and ready to incorporate those into our service models. For example, there are mobile live translation devices that can allow a translator to always be available in a room so that they can better help translate the information so that you can better serve your clients. We must also make sure that we're ready to take action beyond just handing out a list or pointing them to a resettlement agency. In my previous example, where I was the only bilingual employee in my office, I would have better served my clients if I was allowed space and opportunity to always ask my clients what they needed and how they needed to be served, and that I was able to provide that time and follow up so that they could be served in the best manner in which they needed it. Above all else, we need to make sure that we constantly apply an equity lens in every service model that we create and in all the policies and procedures that we're creating. We need to remember that no individual is the same, no case is the same, no situation is the same. And so we need to make sure that we go beyond the understanding that that equity is just about equal access to resources. It's not just that. And we need to make sure that our service models are constantly being revamped, reevaluated, and that they're flexible enough so they can grow in our ability to welcome and serve those who are newly coming to our communities. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this very brief introduction to the service model. If you'd like more information, please visit our website, greeninternational.org, or follow us on social media. Thank you.